Friday, Sergeant Ventresca was on the stand. Are we prepared to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. Sergeant Ventresca is here. I have maybe 3 or 4 more questions for him, and then we can move on.
Thank you.
There is a preliminary matter I'd like to take up and have a motion. And I have an extra copy for Your Honor. I'll hand it to the, could I approach?
Yes.
This is an issue that I think is going to start coming up on a daily basis, so I believe we need to address it now. On Friday, the court permitted Sergeant Ventresca to explain why he did certain things and took certain action. He then mentioned a red Tacoma as a vehicle that was, quote, associated with Mr. Dulos. And he also mentioned that Hartford, Albany Avenue, Route 44 is a, quote, high crime area, unquote, in Hartford, as part of his thought process as to why he's looking for videos. There are a lot of problems that arose from that. First of all, as it will become eminently clear, Sergeant Ventresca knew nothing, zero, about a red Tacoma, quote, associated with, unquote, Mr. Dulos, because it belonged to one of his employees on the weekend of Labor Day of 2019. That's something he learned at least a week, if not 2 weeks later. So what that has done is opened the door to an area of the questioning that had nothing to do with the fact that Mr. Sergeant Ventresca went looking for cameras. The only issue had to do with his Ford Raptor, that they were looking to see if there were any vehicles, not specific ones, and then they saw the Ford Raptor. So getting into the Tacoma basically leaped over issues of confrontation, hearsay, and foundation, which were utterly lacking. And the witness did not mention all the other vehicles that belonged to other Ford Group employees that were working at that time for the Ford Group. So that's the first issue. Second of all, by allowing him to just opine that Route 44 and Albany Avenue, where the Jamaican bakery is and Benji's Jamaican restaurant is a, quote, high crime area, it was unnecessarily introducing racial bias into this case, because it's also true that right down a block or 2 further is the Dunkin' Donuts Stadium, where the Hartford Yard Goats play AA baseball almost every single week. So now we've had to get into the fact that when he made that statement, it suggested that no white rich guy from the suburbs would have any reason to be driving on Route 44 when it also happens to be the main thoroughfare for people who work in downtown Hartford, because Route 44 turns in right there around the next corner into Main Street, a block, maybe 2 blocks further up. So, you know, I bring these things up now, Your Honor, because I want to emphasize this is not the trial of Fotis Dulos. It's the trial of Michelle Troconis. Whatever, I'm not here to defend Fotis Dulos or what he did or didn't do in connection with the disappearance of his wife. But the court is putting the defense in the position of having to defend that because of the fact that my client was living with Mr. Dulos, and so there's already a guilt by association problem that's arising. The motion I just filed, Your Honor, on Friday the state said it, quote, had cases, unquote, that supported the notion that what police do, they can explain their motivation and what hearsay they hear in exchange for why they took certain action. Well, I've attached pages from Judge Prescott's version of the 6th edition of the Tate's Handbook of Connecticut Evidence, which is the seminal treatise on Connecticut evidence, and there's many cases that I have attached that are in that section 8.9, but the most salient comment is, quote, on page 515, a police officer's conduct is rarely relevant to the crime charged, and the officer should not be allowed to repeat statements made to the officer to explain why the officer did or did not do something.
Well, the
Close unquote.
interpreter is unable to keep up, Attorney Schoenhorn,
I'm sorry.
with your presentation.
Let me repeat that slowly. A police officer's conduct is rarely relevant to the crime charged, and the officer should not be allowed to repeat statements made to the officer to explain why the officer did or did not do something, close quote. And then there's also the fact that I then shepherdized, and there's a case that came out in 2021, which I cite, Stay versus Armador, that repeats that same point. And like I said, I've included a couple of pages here. And why is that important? Because if the state says it has cases to the contrary, well, you know, maybe someone needs to let Judge Prescott know that means that his subchapter is just plain wrong, and it needs to be revised based on whatever cases the state has not given to the court. And we're going to now have this happen with every witness, because we know the evidence, at least we've gone through all the evidence, and to now have to cross-examine about a red Tacoma that this detective knew nothing about until a week or two later, and it had nothing to do with what was or wasn't located on Albany Avenue. So for example, if he had simply said, based on the phone pings that he received, they went to look for cameras, they gave that information, he wasn't around, he gave it to the other detectives to locate, and as a result they obtained some footage, then we could have moved right into the fact that there was footage of a Ford Raptor that was similar to one that Mr. Dulos owned. I would have had no objection to that. But now to get into a vehicle that this witness clearly knew nothing about at the time, and I'll just to preview what's to come, a week later when the police are at Fort Jefferson Crossing and they have a search warrant, Mr. Pavel Gumieni drives up Fort Jefferson Crossing, sees the police officers there, and turns around, tries to get away, only to be stopped by the police. And then we get into what he was interrogated about, or what he was claimed he was doing, and then they questioned that it didn't seem accurate. So that comes up. That's certainly going to be in the case down the road. But I don't get to confront and cross-examine this witness because he's not going to know where they got that information from, and I'm going to submit that at this point they didn't have it at all. But my bigger concern, Your Honor, is that's why I keep filing these motions in limine. The court needs to at least make the state make an offer of proof about these issues. And if it doesn't, the prejudice is that the jury gets to hear this, the state gets to do a speaking objection, so it gets to give an extra closing argument as to why it wants to get into certain evidence. And aside from it not being fair that the case proceed that way, it eventually, if it hasn't already, becomes a due process violation. And it denies the defense the right to cross-examine, because when I asked this witness, as of that date, Memorial Day weekend, he had no idea that one of the employees owned a Tacoma. So I'm also asking that be stricken at this time from the record, because I just don't know what else to do. It's a surprise. The police never, it says almost never. I'll just note that in the Armador case, which is just a couple of years old now, the issue was a witness to the case, not the police, went to the hospital at a certain time to see an acquaintance who was involved in, who had been one of the victims in that case, and went there. And the notion of relevance has to do with not relevance to what the police do, it's relevance to the charges. It's relevance to the charges. And the fact that the police were looking for a car or to see whether there was a car, wondered why this suburban white guy who builds high-end homes is doing in Hartford. And there's also going to be evidence that my client was in the vehicle. She told the police, yes, she was in that vehicle, suggesting that the only reason to go to Hartford on Albany Avenue is for some nefarious reason. because it's a, quote, high crime area, which I'll note hasn't been true in 10 or 15 years. There's neighborhoods there that may be, but even the notion that Hartford and the main thoroughfare, one of two into town, is a, quote, high crime area suggests that there's a racial aspect to that testimony, and now I have to cross-examine into that, and I just didn't think that was appropriate, nor did I want to go that way. So the state, by doing this, is opening up a can of worms, and I bring it to your Honor's attention because I don't know, because I have to make a record, you know, and each thing, you know, the court maybe is tired of my objections, but I have to make the record. Sometimes we did sidebar on Friday, we did a sidebar. I understand that that was not being recorded by the court monitor, but I don't know that for sure. I think I learned that after court adjourned, that wasn't recorded. But what was discussed at sidebar was this idea that the police get to explain why they do certain things. I said, but they don't. The court said, well, you know, we'll see where it goes, et cetera. These things do need to be decided in advance because otherwise, once the cat is out of the bag, it's prejudicial. And I just let the court know that, you know, I'm conscious of the concerns I have. I'm trying to defend a client here who we maintain is innocent of these charges. There's maybe a lot of evidence, at least a lot of circumstantial evidence against Fotis Dulos. Maybe in his trial, some of this, the rulings might be more appropriate, but they're not in my client's case. And therefore, I ask the court to reconsider that, to move to strike that, to strike the testimony about the motives, and to not allow it unless the state outside the presence of the jury makes an offer of proof as to why it's relevant, again, to the charges against my client, not relevant to what the police were doing. Thank you.
Well, before we hear from the state, Attorney Schoenhorn, the court never tires of objections. Counsel may tire of making objections. The court is never tired of objections. Attorney McGinnis.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, and may it please the court. I find it a little bit ironic that the defendant would argue that there's somehow unfair surprise to her case in this particular instance. Attorney Manning apparently was up here with Attorney Schoenhorn for the better part of 5 to 10 minutes prior to court opening, and this motion was served on us after the court came out, and we opened court for the day. So, you know, obviously Attorney Schoenhorn has our email addresses. He could have handed us the motion in advance so that we could have had an opportunity to look at some of the citations. I guess for some strategic surprise reason, he chose not to do that. But let me just be heard on some of the substance, Your Honor, because these arguments are becoming more and more unhinged from the defense as this case is progressing. The only person in this courtroom that is injecting race into this proceeding is the defense. The state of Connecticut did not ask the jury to draw any sort of racial inference from the fact that it's a high crime area. I don't know what they're frankly talking about when they say that that somehow injects race into this. I think that that's sort of a ridiculous argument. If Albany Avenue is objectively a high crime area, race has nothing to do with it. And I'll just indicate, Your Honor, for the record that even the title to their motion is misleading because it indicates that they want to preclude testimonial and prejudicial hearsay statements by police officers. Of course, the problem with the title, Judge, is that in order for something to be hearsay in the first instance and thus be testimonial, is that it must be offered for the truth of the matter asserted. And so evidence of information that was relayed to police officers and why they took subsequent action is obviously probative of the issue of the investigative steps that were taken. And, you know, we had a chance to look at Armador during the course of the defendant's argument, and what the case indicates is that it is a fact-specific inquiry and that non-hearsay can be used for the effect on the listener. There is no sort of blanket rule that the defense is asking for, and so if the defense has an issue with a particular line of inquiry taken by the state, they should object. The court doesn't tire from objections, and we should just hear those out as they come along. But this motion, which again was filed just now in court for some strategic advantage on the part of the defense, to not give the state adequate opportunity to look at this and perhaps look at the entire treatise that they cited instead of just the pages that they attached to their motion, is sort of asking in advance to exclude any and all evidence of non-hearsay evidence. And I don't think that that's appropriate, Judge. And I just ask that the court deny this motion with the understanding, of course, that the defense can object if they feel that somehow the evidence is not probative. But I don't see how something could possibly be hearsay if it's not being offered for a hearsay purpose.
Let me just respond briefly, Your Honor. It was not my intention to work over the weekend to have to come up with a motion, which when I was down here, I wrote last night and I brought with me this morning. Whether or not the state was in the room for 5 minutes or more before, as Your Honor notes, when the courts came out on the bench, I was still setting up. So pulling things out, et cetera, is what I have to do to get ready. But it's not just the Ardmore case, Judge. It's all the cases cited in what I attached right from the Tate's handbook. It's O'Shea versus Minone, M-I-G-N-O-N-E. It's State versus Robinson. It's State versus Gonzalez with an S. It's State versus Evans. It's State versus Sweeney, and State versus Vega, which is in the Con-App case, 48 Con-App case. So this isn't one case. This is a long line of cases. And in the Armador case, the court sets forth that police should never be able to, almost never, and then they allowed in a non-police officer to explain why that individual went to the hospital to see the victim because it showed advanced knowledge which was relevant to the charges against Mr. Armador. So I don't understand even the state's argument. This is also Miss Manning's witness, so I'm not sure why I'm hearing from Mr. McGinnis instead of the lawyer who's propounding that particular evidence, unless the court, then anyone can argue any point of law if an objection is made. That's not my experience, but if the court allows it, I'm not going to stand on ceremony. It's just that we don't have Mr. McGinnis propounding that evidence. We don't have even an offer as to why it was important for that officer to blurt out something that that officer had no knowledge about at the time. It's being done as self-serving to try and create a closing argument when there's no evidence to support it. If then the officer even had said, we then saw a red Tacoma in the video and that's why we seized it. The next group of questions, he's going to be asked to describe what he saw in a screenshot of a video. That's where we ended for the day. And again, it's going to be the same issue. It was seized and someone else can testify. And I'll note, I've agreed with most of these witnesses. They don't have to call the store owner or the owner of the camera system to explain it. I've offered to avoid that step. But if the court is going to allow witnesses to basically ignore the relevance and hearsay rules, then I'm going to no longer agree to that, and then they're going to have to call each camera owner to authenticate what's in there, because otherwise there's nobody to cross-examine. So I stand by my arguments. It seems to me that it's black letter law, at least in Connecticut, that it shouldn't be allowed, and they're going to do this with every witness. They're going to do it with every witness, every police witness.
Just briefly, Judge, a couple things. To begin with, as I recall, Attorney Schoenhorn argued a motion in limine the other day with respect to a witness that Attorney Felsen was going to be handling. So I'm not really sure what he is indicating when he says that it has to be one witness. If we're dealing specifically with motions, Your Honor, the court has allowed counsel the leeway to argue those motions, and the defense actually took advantage of that very fact the other day. So I'm not really sure where they're going with that. But I'll also just note that the motion itself is written not just specific to Sergeant Ventresca. As a matter of fact, I don't see his name even mentioned in the motion. It is for all police officers. So the idea that the state can't have someone else argue it, I think, is a little bit specious, quite frankly. And I'll just note, Your Honor, that the defense is, essentially trying to engage in legal extortion by indicating that they're going to renege on their previous agreements simply because the court is overruling objections. I think that that's, frankly, low rent. And I'd like to just address the merits of this, which is this is a fact-specific inquiry, whether or not something is effect on the listener, something for the court to decide. If it's relevant, if it's the danger of unfair prejudice outweighs it, those are the inquiries the court has to do. And I'm asking that the court deny their motion without prejudice, and they can raise these objections when they come up.
Thank you. The court will first address motions in limine in general. A motion in limine is designed to exclude from even the jury's hearing certain evidence that is unfairly prejudicial. For example, we had an example earlier in the trial. If the motion in limine called for exclusion of all evidence concerning marital discord, then the motion in limine should also indicate what that evidence is so that the court can determine whether that evidence is unfairly prejudicial. It's not the category of testimony that the court looks to in determining whether to grant a motion in limine. It is the specific facts or fact that the proponent of the motion believes is highly prejudicial and unfairly prejudicial. What the court sees here is a motion in limine to preclude certain categories of testimony. Well, as both counsel are experienced, both counsel are not trying their first case, a witness can say anything at any time. It is not the court's role prior to hearing the evidence to help draft a script for a witness or a category of witnesses. A witness can begin to testify before a question is asked. It's not the court's role to stop the witness. The court is not counsel. It is not the court's role to pave the road for the state, and it is not the court's role to pave the road for the defense. It's not the court's role to set a pick, to use a basketball phrase, for the state. It's not the court's role to set a pick for the defense. That is left to the skill and experience and the training of counsel to bring an objection to the attention of the court by objecting. The motion is denied. You can bring the jury in, please. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Would counsel stipulate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I believe we left off with Sergeant Ventresca.
Thank
He's
you.
right outside, if I may.
And Sergeant Ventresca is still under oath. And you may be seated, Sergeant.
Your Honor.
Thank you. May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning, how are you?
Just a couple questions. When we left off on Friday,
I can't hear you with this gentleman talking right in my ear.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Sir, with respect to when we left off on Friday, we were talking about 304 Albany Avenue. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes.
Based on what you learned from 304 Albany Avenue, what did you do?
I alerted the Troop L Major Crime Office, and I wanted to get a detective sent over to 304 Albany Avenue to pull that video.
And when you said Troop L, what is that?
Litchfield, Western District Major Crime Field Office.
Okay. Is that part of Western District Major Crimes that you are?
Yes.
And are you the sergeant in charge of that, Troop L?
Not Troop L, no.
Which sergeant is in charge?
Sergeant Bisson.
Okay. And at some point, did you receive information from that, from a officer with respect to 304 Albany Avenue?
Yes.
Who was that officer?
Detective Fitzsimons?
Without telling me what he said or gave, based on that information, did you take any steps?
Yes, so it was the Thursday, the 30th, when that detective learned of what was on that video. It was a vehicle in question. I alerted Central District Major Crime, which is the Troop H Field Office, to get a detective over to Hartford C4, the Hartford Capital City Command Center.
And what day was that?
It was Thursday, the 30th.
Did you ever send anybody from Western District Major Crimes to C4?
Yeah, I sent Detective Butin on Friday, the 31st, to go to C4 as well.
Detective Butin, is he assigned to your unit?
Yes, Western District Major Crime. He was assigned to the Troop G Field Office.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Okay.
Cross-examination.
Is it so, Sergeant Ventresca?
Yes, sir.
I think we met. I'm John Schoenhorn. I represent Michelle Troconis. When you talk about Albany Avenue in Hartford, you also refer to it as Route 44, correct?
Yes.
And that's United States Highway 44, correct?
I would assume so if it's 44, yes.
Well, it's US 44,
Yes.
right? And that's a major thoroughfare between Albany, New York, and I believe it goes to somewhere near Providence, Rhode Island, doesn't it?
I don't know.
I
where
take
it
it you've
goes.
never had to be a trooper in eastern Connecticut, right?
No, never.
So that would be covered by troops that you visit very seldom, like Troop C, right? Troop K, that part of the state,
It's covered by those troops, yes.
but not you.
Not me.
All right. But you also know that this is a major thoroughfare, multi-lane from Avon, across Avon Mountain, right?
Right?
And you said you were at one point at Fort Jefferson Crossing where my client and Mr. Dulos lived, right?
Right.
And then if you take the side road Deer Cliff, you come to Route 44, isn't that right?
Correct.
And then you take Route 44 down, it's at least, it's a 4-lane road, right?
I'm not sure of the lineage on 44.
But it's a major thoroughfare,
I
right?
would say it's a major route, yes.
And then you come into West Hartford, right?
Yes, east of Hartford, yes. Or
The
west of Hartford, I'm
West-
sorry.
I was gonna say
West
West
Hartford, no,
Hartford would
is
be
west
would
of
be west
Hartford,
of
yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Right.
And then you stay on Route 44, it becomes a commercial area in West Hartford, right?
Yes,
And then you get to the University of Hartford, right there on Albany Avenue, isn't it? Right there in the corner?
I'm not sure the exact address, but I know UHart is in that area, yes.
UHart, that's a fairly large private university right there, right?
I don't know if it's large, but I know it's a private university.
Well, it's large
Yes.
landscape is what I mean, like land.
Right. I don't know the acreage.
Fair enough. And then you cross the, I guess it's the Park River, and then that becomes Hartford right there, doesn't it?
Again, I can't tell you exactly where the city limits are. If you're saying it is, then,
All right, well, we looked at a map.
Right,
I could put it
right.
back up, but I just don't want to
right.
show the map again. But one of the things we saw when you were showing the various streets in Hartford along Route 44, there's a McDonald's right there, right?
I don't recall.
You don't recall seeing that on the
McDonald's?
map?
No,
Or the satellite view, I mean.
no.
And you also know that if you go down another couple of blocks, you get to the Yard Goats baseball stadium, right? A AA team stadium is right there, right?
I think it's there.
Yeah, so that's the Yard Goats is a professional baseball team, right?
Right.
And that was there in 2019, wasn't it?
I believe so. You're talking Dunkin' Donuts?
The Dunkin' Donuts Stadium, right there, right? And that, you understand that a lot of people come from the suburbs to watch AA baseball.
Absolutely.
So when you use the term that that portion of Route 44 was a, quote, high crime area, was it because there was a Jamaican restaurant there?
No, it's referring to the city of Hartford.
The city is, okay.
Yes.
All right. But you didn't know if Mr. Dulos had any business in Hartford at all, do you?
Not that we knew of at the time.
You knew that he built large homes, right?
Yes.
But you don't know whether he owned or built in Hartford, do you?
Did not know at that time.
And you didn't know if he had any dumpsters available at that time either, did you?
Did not know at that time.
When you drove past 4 Jefferson Crossing, you didn't see a dumpster,
No.
did you? There was a for sale sign there, though, wasn't there? In front of his house,
At
according to
4?
the pictures we saw.
At 4? I can't remember if there was a for sale sign at 4 back then, back in May 24th.
Okay, so we're talking about that Memorial Day
Yep.
weekend, right? Correct?
Correct.
And you did go past 80 Mountain Spring Road, right?
Yes.
And you knew that was a house that was being built or had just been built by the Ford Group as of that date, right?
Yes.
And you, in fact, testified on Friday that you saw one of those large banner for sale signs showing the Ford Group in the picture, right?
Yeah, something similar, yes.
And you couldn't remember if it was actually in front of the house or by the street, but you remember something similar like that outside.
I remember there was something down by the road, at the base of the driveway. I couldn't tell you what was up by the house.
Well, indicating the house was for sale, right?
Right.
And as of that date, did you know whether or not there were showings at that house on 80 Mountain Spring
No,
Road?
did not know.
You were also testifying on Friday that there were different kinds of cars that you believed were, quote, I think you used the word, affiliated with, unquote, Mr. Dulos. Is that right?
I would say that's right, yes. Yeah.
You mentioned a red Tacoma as one of those cars. Remember saying that?
Yes, sir.
Now, as of Memorial Day weekend, you didn't know anything about a red Tacoma belonging to one of Mr. Dulos's employees, did you?
Yes.
That weekend you found out about
Yes,
it?
that Sunday. Or I'm sorry, that Monday. Not the weekend, but the Monday.
Okay, but when you were driving around on, I think you said the weekend,
No,
right?
yes.
You were looking for cameras and whatnot, right? You didn't know anything at that point about.
Not on Sunday, about the red truck.
Okay, and you knew that belonged to an employee of Mr. Dulos
We
named
learned,
Pavel.
we learned that on Monday.
Right, named Pavel Gumieni, right?
Yes, yes. Just, it wasn't registered to Pavel.
It was registered, well, that's another. that
It
was
wasn't registered to Pavel.
Pavel's wife,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
It was not registered to Mr. Dulos, was it?
No.
Wasn't registered to Michelle Troconis? And it wasn't registered to the Ford Group, the company?
No.
Did you look into any other vehicles that were owned by other employees of the Ford Group at that time?
Yes, we did.
That weekend?
That weekend, when we set up our command post, we put every employee that was listed on the Ford Group website on our whiteboard. And we looked into every employee, and in fact, we sent leads out that weekend to start interviewing those employees. And part of that process, when we put them on the whiteboard, is to gather intelligence through law enforcement databases and searches to determine what vehicles people drive, where they live, what their phone numbers are, et cetera.
Were you looking for other vehicles of the other employees as you drove along Albany Avenue on Route 44?
No,
And you did know that that red Tacoma was about 20 years old, correct? It was
Yes.
a 2001 Tacoma, right?
Yes.
And were you aware that it was leaking oil and was in bad condition?
very aware.
Incidentally, you didn't look for any leaking oil along the route you were traveling, did you?
No, I mean, there's multiple vehicles that drive routes, there's multiple oil stains all over the roads.
But these are all things you learned a little bit later, is that correct?
Well, that Monday, I learned about the Tacoma through a neighborhood canvas. So we put that vehicle on our list of vehicles on that Monday.
By the way, you didn't know whether Mr. Dulos had ever been known to dump construction garbage at locations where he should not have been doing that, did you?
Not that day, no.
On any
No,
day?
no, never.
Now, in your career as a state trooper, have you ever had to investigate an illegal dumping case,
No.
even as a road trooper?
No,
Isn't that something the state police sometimes investigate?
sometimes, I mean, mostly like debris on the highway, people throw couches out along the highways and such like that.
No, you ever seen contractors doing that so they don't have to pay for a dumpster?
No.
Never.
No,
And so that we're clear, you said that when you saw the camera on the Jamaican restaurant awning, you said you referred it to, I think you said Troop L. Is that what you said?
yes.
You mean Troop H in
No,
Hartford?
Troop L, Western District Major Crime Field Office.
Well, wasn't Troop H just right down the street from where the Albany Avenue is? Like maybe 6
Washington, I
blocks?
think it's on Washington and Hartford.
Yeah, isn't Washington, it's right near the Capitol, right?
Yes,
And you didn't contact them?
no,
And incidentally, on May 31st, 2023, was Detective Fitzsimons assigned to the Western District Major Crime Squad?
on May 31st. What year did
I'm
you say?
sorry, let me rephrase that. On May 25th and 6th, when you asked him to go look for cameras.
He was assigned to Western District Major
was.
Crime Squad, yes.
All right. And was he assigned as a detective or as a trooper at that point?
Detective in the Troop L Field Office.
All right. Just have a moment,
Okay.
Judge.
Yes.
Nothing further, thank you.
Sergeant, you may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
If I may call it Mike Fitzsimons, please. If I may have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm as the case may be that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God upon penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Fitzsimons, F-I-T-Z-S-I-M-O-N-S.
You may be seated.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Your Honor, may I inquire?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Mr. Fitzsimons, did you previously work for the Connecticut State Police?
Yes, I did for 25 years.
Okay. When did you part company with the Connecticut
It
State
will
Police?
be 2 years, March of this year.
Okay. Did you retire?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And at what rank did you retire at?
Detective.
And was there a particular division of the Connecticut State Police that you worked at when you retired?
The Western District Major Crime Squad.
And what troop were you assigned to?
I was assigned to the Troop L office,
Who was your supervisor?
Sergeant Al Bisson.
And could you briefly just describe to the jury some of your training and experience as a Connecticut State Police
So-
officer?
Initially, I was hired by the state police. I attended the State Police Academy. There we're trained and tested in all the academia skills and procedures necessary to become certified as a state police officer. I successfully completed the training academy. When I graduated the academy, I was assigned as a patrol trooper. I was initially stationed at Troop L up in Litchfield. I was there for approximately 8 years. Throughout my 25 years, I've had several assignments from when I was a canine handler and a member of our state police tactical unit and an instructor at the academy as a firearms instructor. But a majority of my career, actually 16 years of my career, I was with the Western District Major Crime Squad.
Thank you, sir. If I could just have one moment.
Yes.
May I just approach you on that?
Yes.
Detective Fitzsimons, were you working with the Western District Major Crimes Squad in May of 2019?
Yes, I was.
And what troop were you assigned to again? Where were you headquartered out of?
I was with the Troop L office, which is also located at the Western District headquarters.
And is that in
Again, the
Litchfield?
Western District is comprised of, as far as the major crime offices and the troops, are 4 offices and 4 troops. And again, we kind of work all in concert together. I kind of equate it to like those of you who live in cities where there's multiple firehouses. Sometimes you only need one firehouse, other times you may need several. So we kind of work together.
And I'm going to draw your attention specifically to May 29th of 2019. What was your assignment that day?
I was assigned to assist with obtaining a copy of video surveillance from an establishment on Albany Ave in Hartford.
And what was that address, sir?
The average was 304 Albany Ave, and the point I was supposed to meet, the name of the establishment was Benji's 2 Seafood Restaurant.
Can you turn the television? Big one. I can. May I just inquire of the court and all the TVs are on?
The court's monitor is on.
It is on. Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
Hold on this one.
Do you have it? Your Honor, with respect to States 34, there are 2 items on it that have already been admitted through other witnesses. However, the last 2 have not. Sir, if I can draw your attention to the screen behind you, I'm going to show you what's been marked as, I guess, picture 2. Do you recognize what's depicted in that photograph, sir?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
That is Benji's 2 Seafood Restaurant.
And is that the restaurant you went to on May 29, 2019?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And why did you go there?
I was assigned by my supervisor to download. They had video surveillance there. Information was received or passed on to me that they believed there was information, believing Fotis Dulos was in the area of Albany Avenue on May 24th, sometime between 7 and 8 p.m.
Now, did you speak to anybody at the restaurant without saying what they said, please? But did you speak to anybody?
Yes.
Okay, and were you able to download any video?
Yes, I was.
Okay. I'm gonna actually draw your attention to this screen again, picture 1. Sir, if you need to, Your Honor, may I just ask him to
Certainly.
step near the screen? Thank you, if you can. Does that picture or map, if you will, depict where you went that day on May 29th?
Yes, it does.
If you could, please point that out.
In this area, right here, Albany Avenue area, near the intersection, that's Green Street,
If I can, I can.
the knife and fork are.
Where the knife and fork are. It says Island Fish Head Jamaican Restaurant, sir. Is that the restaurant you went to?
It was called, as far as I know, Benji's 2 Seafood Restaurant. I don't know when this was taken.
Okay. And that would be the Benji's in picture 2?
Yes.
At the
304
time.
Albany Ave.
So in 2019, is this what the intersection of Albany and Green looked like?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, sir, with respect to you can have a seat. I'm sorry, thank you. Did you look for a specific time frame?
Yes, I did.
What was that time frame?
The time frame was between 7 and 8 p.m. for May 24th.
And did you ask for a specific, between 7 and 8 p.m.?
Normally, I kind of create a buffer, so I probably have sometime around 6:48, 6:45 to approximately 8:25. I usually give about a 15, 20 minutes on each end, just to account for any anomalies.
And did you watch the video on scene while you were there at the
No, I did not.
restaurant? Okay. With respect to that day when you received the video, what did you do next?
Once it was downloaded onto the thumb drive or flash drive, I transported it to my office in Litchfield. Once I got to the office, I inserted it in my computer, viewed it on the screen to make sure I had a copy. I wasn't coming back with an empty thumb drive. Once I saw that I had a recording, I made a copy of it, a working copy, and then what I do with the original is I take that and put it in evidence for safekeeping.
Was the video continuous or motion activated?
It was continuous.
And did you review that video?
I did.
And where were you when you reviewed that video?
I was at my office.
Did you have a specific assignment in your review of that video, or was there something in particular you were looking for?
I was reviewing the working copy. Again, I wanted to make sure that I successfully made a copy. Again, we'll make copies of the original, that way I can disseminate it to the lead officer or counsel, what have you, down the road. That minimizes damaging or losing the original. Again, the original was evidence. So as I was going through the working copy, ensuring that I had successfully downloaded it, I was aware of the vehicle, one of the vehicles, or the vehicles Fotis Dulos had registered to him. And then while going through ensuring the copy, I noticed one of Fotis, what appeared to be a vehicle consistent with Mr. Dulos's vehicle,
What type of vehicle was that?
a black Ford Raptor.
Do you recall what time that vehicle, or a vehicle consistent with
It was approximately 7:40 p.m.
and after you saw that on the video, what did you do, if anything?
Through reviewing it, kind of monitor it, and as the vehicle had made a U-turn, it was coming back.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to him giving a narration. The video will speak for itself. So the fact that he reviewed it, he logged it in, I assume that she wants to show the video. I'm not objecting to that, but I object to a sort of running sideline play-by-play of
That's fine, Your Honor. It be states 35. I can play that now with,
Thank you. It's
No
sustained.
objection.
thank you. I can, sir. I'm going to draw your attention to the screen behind you. I may just have one moment.
Yes.
Okay, sir, do you recognize what's depicted on that screen?
Yes, that is an easterly view of Albany Avenue at the front of the Benji's Restaurant.
Okay, when you say easterly view, let me just ask you, if somebody was driving away from the screen towards the upper right, is that towards Hartford or away from Hartford?
That would be towards Hartford.
Okay. Oops, if I can, I hit the wrong, I apologize, Your Honor, I hit the wrong button. Okay, I'm gonna stop it there, sir. If you wouldn't mind, Your Honor, may I ask him to go to the
Yes.
screen? Sir, if you can, just on the upper, if you could point on the upper left-hand corner of that video screen, what does that time, is that a timestamp? Is that,
The upper left, the 05/24/2019 is the date and year. Friday, and then 07:40:55 PM.
now, after you watched this video, sir, did you take any screenshots of the video?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do with those screenshots?
Once I took the screenshots, I'd saved them, printed them out, and I ultimately disseminated it to the Troop G office.
I believe this is states 34. Your Honor, at this time, there are two items on states 34 that are for ID only, unless council has no objection at this point.
No objection.
Then if we can move the entire of states 34 as a full exhibit, those two items that the state is planning on introducing at this time also appear on Sergeant Ventresca's as ID, but if they are moved as full now,
Stage 34 will be admitted as a full exhibit.
thank you. Sir, I'm going to show you what's been in marked as picture 3 out of states 34. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
That is a screenshot of the Ford Raptor.
Is that the screenshot that you took
Yes, it is.
and disseminated?
Yes, it is.
In picture 4,
That is another screenshot of the Ford Raptor.
and is that the screenshot that you took
Yes, it is.
and disseminated?
Yes.
I have nothing further, thank you.
Cross-examination.
No questions.
Thank you. Well, we will refer to you as detective. You may step down.
Thank you, sir.
And Your Honor, I believe if I can, Josh Quint, please.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Joshua, last name Quint.
And your position?
Connecticut State Police.
And you may be seated, thank you.
I may, Your Honor. Morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, ma'am.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Quint, by whom are you currently employed?
The Connecticut State Police
And how long have you worked for the Connecticut State Police?
for about 6 months.
For about 6 months? All right, what's your position with the Connecticut State Police?
I currently work as a criminal analyst for the state police.
Okay, what is an analyst?
The analyst provides investigative support to detectives, troopers, patrol officers. We just assist with investigations, by whatever means we can, whether that be law enforcement technology or commercial or law enforcement databases.
Are you a sworn police officer?
I am not.
So prior to working for the Connecticut State Police, what did you do?
I worked for the Hartford Police as a crime analyst, and I spent 6 years there
Particularly where?
at the Hartford Police Department, and our unit was called C4.
What is C4?
C4 is the Capital City Command Center.
Hence the 4 Cs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How long did you work at C4?
For 6 years, about 6 years.
Could you just explain what C4 is?
Yes. So C4 is a unit which is assigned to the Hartford Police Department. We fall underneath the Vice Intelligence Narcotics Division for the Hartford Police. The room, it's a big room at Jennings Road for the police department. In there, there's a bunch of TVs, a closed-circuit camera system, which belongs to the city of Hartford and the Hartford Police. And then there's a team of analysts and detectives that work in that office collaboratively together to help solve crime.
With respect to all the video screens, what is it showing?
A lot of them are city cameras, so they're on public poles throughout the city.
And is it a continuous or real-time?
Yes, the feed is real-time.
What areas do the video cameras cover?
They're placed all throughout the city in different places. It's mostly based off of infrastructure and where we could place cameras. And a lot of it is based off of data that we have for where violent crime occurs.
Are the cameras motion activated or continuous?
So the cameras are motion activated. When enough pixels are activated through the camera tells the recording server to record the video stream that it's getting.
And are they retained, the video?
Yes.
For how long are they retained for?
Up to 30 days.
Does C4 also do other things, by the way, besides video surveillance?
We do. So we help provide, like I said before, commercial databases, law enforcement databases, so checks into those databases. In addition to that, phone forensics, video enhancement forensics, and just kind of helping detective solve their crime, whatever it may be.
And with respect to being an analyst, could you briefly describe some of your training and experience that led you to be an analyst?
Yes. So my technical career started on the early side. I worked for Apple for a very short period of time through college where I worked on phones. Following that, I did spend some time in the military where I served as a military police officer. During my time in the military, I attended a crime and criminal intelligence analyst course down at Fort Leonard Wood at the United States Military Police School. Following that, I worked for the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Defense for the Army.
And in 2019, were you working at C4?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was your position?
I was a crime analyst.
And I'm going to draw your attention specifically to May of 2019, at the end of May. Did C4 go through video surveillance throughout Hartford at the request of law enforcement in the investigation into the disappearance of Jennifer Dulos?
Yes,
Were you part of that assignment?
yes.
And specifically, what was that assignment?
I was contacted by my supervisor, who had asked me to assist the New Canaan Police Department and the state police with a missing persons case. Specifically, he wanted me to check for video between the hours of 7 and 8 o'clock on the 24th.
Is that 7 and 8 o'clock p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
So how does that work when strike that. Let me ask a foundation question first. How many video cameras are in Hartford that C4 is capable of looking through?
So there's over 1,000 different camera views throughout the city.
So how do you look through it for a particular item or vehicle for a particular time, say 7 to 8 o'clock?
So it can be done manually, where we can scrub through the video and actually look and find manually what we're looking for. There's another option. We have a software program called BriefCam. BriefCam is a video analytic, which I don't know if I should continue to explain.
If you can,
Okay.
please. Thank you.
BriefCam is a video analytic, and the way that it works is it looks at all the different objects that move through the frame, identifies them by what they are, whether it's a pickup truck, a bus, a van, a car, and then it also separates it out by color. So now you could use this program to then go filter and find the different objects that appeared.
And with respect to BriefCam, are you trained in it?
Yes, not formally, but on-the-job training.
Okay. In fact, did C4 help develop BriefCam?
We worked with the company to help further develop their platform after they let us to start using the program.
And with respect to was BriefCam something that you used for
Yes,
this
on a daily
assignment?
basis. Yeah, yes.
Okay. And for this assignment as
Yes.
well? Okay. So what did you do?
So we were given at that time frame between 7 and 8 o'clock p.m. to look for, specifically the assignment was to look for a black pickup truck, a black Ford Raptor, a white Jeep, and a black Chevy Suburban, and find something that fit those descriptions.
What day were you given that assignment?
I don't remember the exact day.
Okay. Well, let me ask this. Was it after May 24th?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move on. Now, with respect to the use of BriefCam, was that utilized in the course of this assignment?
Yes.
And as a result of using BriefCam, was a video footage developed during the time of 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay. If I may just have a moment, Your Honor. Seats 36, Your Honor. I don't believe there's any objection.
I'm looking at it right now. Let me just have one more moment to make sure.
Running out of, which one goes to here? This one?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have an objection to this.
Thank you. States 36 admitted as full.
Okay, Mr. Quinn, I'm going to ask you to take a look behind you, please. All right, States 36. What are we looking at?
So this is the video management system. It's called Milestone. This is where all of our cameras that we live stream into the PD. This is the system that they're stored in. It's where we can export video from and pull up different views and look at the video.
Is this what you would see at C4 in 2019?
Particularly for this case, yes, this would have been the streams that we would have pulled for that.
Okay. And with respect to, I don't know if you could see it or you need to go up to the screen. If I can, Your Honor, ask him to approach the screen if need be. Each camera viewpoint, I guess the grids, do they contain a separate camera?
Yes.
And with respect to the camera viewpoints that are contained on that screen, what area do they cover?
So each camera, so the top row of these cameras covers the area of Albany and Blue Hills, which is an intersection in Hartford. So there's a pan-tilt zoom camera, and then there's 3 additional fixed cameras or 4 additional fixed cameras that show the intersection around that area. The area of Albany and Garden, which is, these are all just the fixed cameras, and then the area of Albany and Center.
Now, you mentioned fixed cameras versus something else. What's the something else?
The something else is a PTZ, or pan-tilt zoom. That's how it's labeled up there. So it's a camera that we could move around at the PD, but it's also a camera that is of a higher resolution than the other ones.
With respect to, for instance, you said, I believe the first one, Albany and Blue Hills, would that be that first row?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Which one is the, just going to say the movable camera, if that's okay?
It's the top left.
Okay. And the other 3 would be in fixed points?
Yes, ma'am.
With respect to the movable camera, was it moved during this time period? Or how are you able to move it around?
So when, in a live incident, we're able to actually use the computer program, click into the live view, and then dictate where we would like the camera to be pointed at.
When would you utilize that in a live instance?
So being part of a real-time crime center, we support a lot of shooting investigations that happen in the city. So when there's a shooting that cops may be responding to, we're pulling up these live feeds, moving the cameras to points where cars may be fleeing, where we're able to get a license plate and then develop that further.
Just, would you also utilize it if like the marathon or an event or anything like that?
Yes,
together?
Marathon, the Jazz Fest, all sorts of
Okay.
different events in Hartford.
Is that the, that's the real-time portion of it, the real-time crime center for the C4?
Yes.
I just want to clarify, make sure we're on the same page. Now, with respect to Albany and Garden, did that have a movable camera?
It did.
Okay. And is the movable camera displayed here?
It is not.
Okay. And believe you said Albany and Center, or
Yes.
is that the other one? Is that a movable camera?
The one that's up here is not.
Okay. Now, I'm going to draw your attention to, this is Albany and Blue Hills. I see the PTZ. Is that what you were talking about, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is down here? And if you can see for the record, my cursor is highlighting the bottom middle portion of the screen. But what is that?
So that's the timeline. So it shows you the date, the time of the video. That's where it is when you're playing it. The red is motion. And then as the video progresses, the bar will start to slide.
Okay. And by the way, are you able to, I guess, go back and forth between the viewing of one screen versus back to that main view and go in between?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So start playing. Sir, what's the time that this starts at?
7:29. I don't know what the seconds were because you already started playing it.
Okay. Now, I'm actually going to fast forward a little bit. And, well, while this is playing, sorry, what intersection is this?
Albany and Blue Hills.
Now, which road is Albany? If you wouldn't mind standing up and just pointing, if that's okay.
This is Albany here. It runs from east to west.
And there's a road over here on the right. What is this?
That's Adams Street.
Okay, and over here on the left?
I do not know what the name of that street is.
Okay. And over here on this green and yellow awning side, do you know what that is?
Scott's Bakery.
Okay. And is this where the camera is? Is that an intersection?
Yes, it's pointed just past the intersection. The intersection would actually be below the view.
Okay. And if you were traveling, say, up towards the middle of the camera, that way if you see the cursor going upwards, is that towards Hartford or away from Hartford?
That's away from Hartford.
Okay, so Hartford would be coming towards the bottom portion of the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you utilize brief cam on this camera?
Yes.
And again, what information did you put into brief cam?
So we were given a time frame between 7 and 8 o'clock, specifically to look for a black truck or a black Ford Raptor, a white Jeep.
Was it, well, with respect to the black Ford truck, were you giving the information of a black Ford truck or a black Ford Raptor?
We were given specifically a black Ford Raptor.
Okay. And is this the video that brief cam gave you?
Yes.
So if you were to go back to that main screen, would it continue the same time frame?
Yes.
Okay. If you can have a seat, sir. Or I might just, I'll probably be asking you to get up again. But so if I go back to the main screen, the camera view right next to it, is that time now, I paused it at 7:32:05. Is that time picking up at 7:32:05?
Yes, ma'am. It's a continuation.
It's a continuation? Okay. And with respect to this camera, if I can, where is this camera located?
So this is the southeast corner, right behind the telephone pole would be at McDonald's.
Okay. And what road is this vehicle turning down?
This is Milford Street?
And is this one of those cameras that can be moved?
No.
Oops, sorry. Now, does Albany Avenue have cameras, or I'm sorry, not Albany Avenue, does C4 have cameras down that street, that Milford Street that was in that direction?
We do not.
Okay, are the only cameras that relate to this along Albany Avenue?
For this incident, yes.
Okay, and is there another camera that, is there another camera that picks up that truck?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the McDonald's, is that,
That is, yep.
okay, so we're still at the same intersection, sir. Where is the Milford Street that the truck went down?
So it would be on this side of the view. It would
Okay.
continue down on that south.
So, is there a way, in this road right up here?
That's a plaza entrance.
Oh. And last you indicated there was a fourth camera. Here, I'm actually just gonna scroll back. Which camera angle is this, sir?
So this is another one of those fixed cameras, and this is northbound. This road here would be Milford Street, and this would be Blue Hill Avenue.
Attorney Manning, it is now about 11:16. We should probably take our morning recess.
Okay, yes, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will take our morning recess and resume at 11:30. Thank you. Please do not discuss the case.
These, or should I return to city clerk? Keep it.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. didn't realize the time was.
All rise. This honorable Superior Court now stands in recess. Please exit the courtroom.
Please be seated, thank you. We are waiting for
Well, I'm
Attorney
assuming-
McGinnis.
I'm assuming this is like stuck. Can you grab it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, wait. Oh, I see what the
you know,
problem.
let me stick this one out. Might be easier. Oh, it keeps popping out, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem. It keeps popping out, but let's see if I hold the back of it for you.
This is why we're useless. Did you get it?
I think so. There.
All right, get it.
Sorry, I was helping with your jump.
We can bring the jury back in.
There we go. Does Your Honor want Mr. Quint back on the stand?
Yes.
I think he's been outside. Oh, Sean, can you go get that? Come on up. Oh, thanks. Thank you.
Okay, would counsel stipulate, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Quint, you may be seated.
Let me actually go back a moment, sir, and go to this first Albany and Blue Hills camera, if I can. Your Honor, the state is also going to open, I believe, what was State's 34. All right, sir, do you see the two items, maybe a little squished together, but do you see them on the screen behind you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, with respect to the video, Albany and Blue Hills, if you can, could you please show the intersection if it appears?
Yes.
Okay. And the Blue Hills Street, sir?
This is Blue Hills here, this is Albany,
Okay. And Milford?
and this is Milford Street.
Okay. And there's the McDonald's?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You could have a seat. Now, did the brief cam pick up that car on another camera?
Yes.
Which camera, sir?
It picked it up at both Albany and Garden and the intersection of Albany and Center.
Okay. Let's see if I can. What camera angle is that, sir?
So this is the intersection of Albany and Garden, and this camera is faced westbound and also kind of covers the south part of Garden Street.
If you wouldn't mind,
Yes,
sir, which street is Albany Avenue?
this is Albany Avenue.
And same questions as before, if you're driving upward, away from the camera, is that towards Hartford or away?
Going westbound would be away from Hartford, so that would be going towards West Hartford.
So going towards Hartford would be bottom of the camera.
Correct.
Okay, is this on the same side as the last one, basically?
Yes, it's on the south side.
Okay. And this road that intersects with Albany over on the left,
Garden Street.
that's Garden Street. And this establishment, do you know what it is?
It's had a bunch of names over the past couple of years, so I don't know what it was called then.
And I'm actually going to increase the time to 7:38. So for the record, 7:38:08. Now, sir, I'm going to ask you the same question with respect to the map. This is Albany and Garden.
Yes,
Is that depicted on the map on States 34?
it is. Albany and Garden is the intersection here.
Actually which side of the street is the camera angle, sir?
So the camera is on the southeast corner.
Okay. And Garden Street, if you could just point it out?
Yep. Garden Street is here. This is Albany Avenue.
Okay, thank you. Now, is this a movable or fixed camera view?
This is a fixed camera.
Okay. And what camera angle is this, sir?
So this is another fixed camera view, but this is faced east.
And the road on the right?
This, you're talking about this one?
Yes, please.
This would be Garden Street. This is Albany Avenue.
Okay. And same questions, Albany Avenue, if you keep driving straight, does that go to the Hartford or away from Hartford?
It's still going further into Hartford.
Okay. Now, is this a view that Brief Cam picked up?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, I'll go back a little. This camera view, sir.
So this is another fixed camera at Albany and Garden, and it covers the eastbound direction and northbound direction. This is Albany Ave. This is Garden Street.
Okay. This isn't one of those movable ones?
Correct.
Okay. And with respect to the garbage can, is that the same garbage can that we saw on the screen before?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I have a quick question, sir. Do you see that black truck that's on that screen?
Yes.
Okay. If you can, just following that up. what's the difference between the two? Did Brief Cam pick up that other black truck?
It did as a black pickup truck.
Okay, but not as a Ford Raptor?
So Brief Cam doesn't specify make and model of vehicle, it just specifies black or pickup. There's a few things that are unique about the Ford Raptor compared to the other truck.
And what was that?
The tonneau cover in the back, the covering on the bed of the truck. The Ford Raptor has hood scoops on the front, so little indentations on the front of the hood.
Okay, and so when you're going through this video, were you looking at all the trucks that were black and pickup trucks?
Yes, that's where we started.
Okay, and then you started, so were you able to narrow it further?
Yes.
How were you able to do that?
Once we started to see the same trucks stopping and putting garbage bags and random garbage cans.
Okay. So what angle is this?
So this is a fixed camera at the intersection of Albany and Center, and this camera is faced westbound.
Now I'm gonna stop here, 73947. Do we see that same truck, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Is that the truck that I pointed out before?
I believe
Is
so,
it the
yes.
same? Okay. No, stop it there. So I'm gonna go back to picture 1 with the map. If you can, is the area of that intersection depicted on this screen?
Yeah. It's going to be over here. Yeah, the camera's about here.
Okay.
It's in between Green and Center.
So Green Street is right here.
Yes.
Where is Center?
This is Center Street here.
Okay.
Goes north-south.
And this restaurant, Island Fish Head Restaurant, do you know, if you do, if that was Island Fish Head Restaurant in
don't believe it
2019? I'm sorry?
No,
It wasn't, or you don't know?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Stop at 74112. And sir, what street is this?
Green Street?
And again, if you were driving, let me zoom back in. If you were driving Albany Avenue going to the left corner, upper left corner, which direction are you traveling now?
So if you're traveling this direction, it would be traveling west.
Okay, is that towards Hartford or away?
It would be towards west.
West Hartford?
Yes.
Okay, so if you were traveling towards the bottom right, would that be into the city of Hartford?
Yes.
Sir, what intersection are we at again?
So this is Albany and Blue Hills.
Is this the same camera that we started with?
Yes.
Okay. And oh. I apologize. Back at the map, sir, if you could just point out where we are now.
So we're back at the same intersection. This is Milford Street, Albany Avenue, Blue Hills Avenue, and the camera is located in this southeast corner.
Is the camera angled towards Hartford or away from Hartford?
It's faced west,
So away from Hartford?
away from Hartford.
Thank you. I'm going to fast forward a little bit to oh, 7:47:21. And again, sir, the street that's up here on the right, where the cursor is, do you see that?
That's Adams Street.
Okay. Thank you, sir. If you can have a seat. Your Honor, the state's intention at this time is to ask about the witness and inquire about some further video that was obtained. I believe there's an objection to it at this time.
Well, that's fairly general, so the court does not know what the video evidence is or what
I
the
just-
objection is.
Can we have a sidebar, please?
I may just have one moment, Your Honor. It's the state's intention now to play states 37 and inquire for the witness, Your Honor. Sir, if I may, Mr. Quint, prior to playing anything, were you asked to get, or was further video from C4 regarding the intersection of Albany Avenue and Garden Street obtained?
Yes.
Okay, and what time period?
We were asked to save from the 24th to the 30th.
Okay, was brief cam used at all during that time period?
I don't recall.
Okay, was that video given to anybody?
Yes,
Who was it given to?
the state police.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, the state would offer 512. I can play it for the witness, but I don't know if counsel wishes to make an objection at this time.
And if I may just inquire whether this is the a proper witness for that, if I may?
Your Honor, this, Mr. Quint works at C4. I plan on opening up the video and inquiring the same questions as before, which is what camera this is and.
My question is, did this witness then obtain the one, or he used the word "we," which usually suggests it wasn't, unless it's the royal we? It may not have been him, so I just want to clarify that. It's
From the court's discussions, this witness can only testify as to the date, time, and location of the camera. That's what the
That
court
is-
understands.
Yes, Your Honor, that is all I'm going to inquire from this witness, is which camera this is, the date, the time it shows, and then the state's intention is to offer the video and then rest with Mr. Quint.
I just want to, it's from a different day. I just want to clarify, we're talking about a different day? at
We
this
are talking about a different day.
Then I would just say that it's not relevant to Ms. Troconis, but that's my objection.
Thank you. Overruled.
Thank you. So I'm going to have you take a look behind you if you can. Now, sir, we only see three, I guess, pictures on the screen. What location are these camera angles, please?
So the first one on the top left, that's Albany Garden, aerospace southeast. The second one on the top right is Albany Garden, and the camera is faced west. And then the last one is Albany Garden, and the camera is again faced east.
And if you wouldn't mind, Albany and Garden West, what is the date and time of this video?
It's May 26th, 2019, at 6:48 a.m.
Thank you. Sir, you can have a seat if you can. Thank you. And this camera angle
This is faced east.
of that same intersection
Yes, Albany and Garden.
and the date and time.
This is May 26th, 2019, at 6:49 a.m.
I'm gonna stop at 6:52:17. Nothing further, thank you.
Thank you. Cross-examination, Attorney Schoenauer.
No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn, you may step down. Thank you.
Your Honor, the state has Mr. Atmore, or I should say Trooper Atmore.
You could please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Brett Atmore, B-R-E-T-T, A-T-T-M-O-R-E.
And your affiliation?
I'm with the Connecticut State Police.
Thank you.
You may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good, actually, it's good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
What is your current assignment with the Connecticut State Police?
I'm the resident trooper in Barkhamsted.
Okay, how long have you been the resident trooper at Barkhamsted?
2.5 years.
Prior to that, what did you do?
On and off, I've been a patrol trooper, and then I spent about 5 years in major crime.
When you say major crime, was there a particular division or department you were assigned to?
I was assigned out of the Troop H office, and prior to that, out of the Westbrook Troop F office.
Troop H, does that cover?
That's all of the, there's 13 different towns, highways, state buildings, prisons,
In what areas?
Hartford, greater Hartford area.
So were you a part of the Central District Major Crimes?
I was.
Okay, for what years were you assigned to the Central District Major Crimes?
2016 to 2020.
And with respect to, what types of investigations does Central District Major Crime investigate?
Mostly larger scale crimes, felonies, robberies, homicides, that sort of, the more major crimes.
And who was your sergeant in 2019?
It would be Matt Gonzalez.
Now, I want to draw your attention specifically to 2019, around the time of May 30th, okay?
Yeah.
Now, were you called to assist in the investigation into the disappearance of Jennifer Dulos?
Yes.
What was your assignment on that day?
My supervisor had me go to C4, which is part of Hartford PD. They have surveillance, cameras accessed all around the city, and I was specifically tasked with looking for a pickup truck, a black Ford F-150 Raptor, traveling in the city on the 24th of May.
Was there a specific time frame you were asked to look for?
It was roughly 7:30 p.m.
Now, did you go to C4?
I did.
What day did you go to C4?
May 30th.
Now, did you review anything or watch any video cameras at C4?
I did.
By the way, as part of Central District Major Crimes, did you work with C4 on multiple occasions?
We did, yes.
Okay, so you were aware of its capabilities?
I was.
So with respect to, I believe it states 36. Sir, briefly, I'm going to have you take a look behind you. Do you recognize what's depicted there?
I do.
Okay, what is that?
Cameras along Albany Ave, I believe, in Hartford.
Okay. Now, when you arrived at C4 that day, did you observe, if I can, this video footage, 7:39:05.
Yes.
Where were you when you watched this?
I was at C4 in Hartford.
Did you have any other officers with you?
No, other than maybe the random Hartford police officer in the building, no one from our agency.
Now, after watching this video clip, did you take any action?
I did.
What did you do?
I notified my supervisor, Matt Gonzalez, about what I'd seen, specifically the trash getting dropped off in multiple City of Hartford garbage cans, in order to get an evidence collection team to go and access those or seize the contents.
When you notified your sergeant, well, when did you do that?
Right after I saw it.
Were you
that-
still physically at C4
I
when
was,
you
yeah.
called him? Why did you do that right away?
Just in the event that the trash got picked up, got meddled with, I don't know. I wanted to have someone out there as soon as possible.
And what day was this? What was the date?
The 30th
The
of
30th
May.
of May? Okay.
Yeah.
With respect to the screen behind you, sir, if you can draw your attention, if you could watch 7:39:26. I'm going to stop it at 7:39:38. With respect to this garbage can, did you notify your sergeant with respect to that?
I did.
Okay. As well as this one?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you look at other cameras as well?
I did.
Which ones?
There was one captured Albany and Milford Street. One that was Albany and Garden.
Okay. Well,
Another one at Albany and Green.
okay.
And I think the last one was Albany and Adams.
Okay. Do you see what's depicted here?
I do.
Okay, this is Albany and Blue Hills, I guess. If you can, sir, I'm gonna draw your attention to 7:47:22. Now, sir, is this a video recording that you watched on May 30th, 2019?
Yeah.
Sir, did you take any action with respect to anything really after watching this video?
Again, I notified my supervisor about the location of this particular instance. It looked like a sewer, and
Well,
that something was placed in it.
Let me ask you that, actually, if I can, go back just briefly. Did you notify your supervisor with respect to the garbage can?
Yes.
Okay. And again, were you on still at C4 when you made that call?
I was.
Now, you also mentioned the sewer grate. Where is that located on the screen?
Kind of right up by the passenger door of the truck.
If you wouldn't mind, sir, if you could go up and point.
Right here.
And for the record, you're pointing to the middle right side? Thank you, sir. And you also mentioned, I believe, Albany and Green, was that correct?
Yes.
If I may, I'm going to go to Albany and Center camera. $741, please. Did you observe this while you were on C4 property?
I did.
And did you inform anybody after what you saw on this?
Yeah, again, I notified my supervisor.
Did you actually go to Albany Avenue, sir?
No.
Okay. Now, do you recall what time of day this was that you watched these videos?
Believe it was around 3 p.m.
And after watching these videos and informing your sergeant, did you review other video from C4?
I did.
And what video did you review?
There was more video of the corner of Albany and Garden, and it was played up till I think the 26th of May.
Why did you look for Albany and Garden video?
That was a garbage can that we saw trash placed in, and we were just interested to see if it had been picked up already by the garbage service in the city.
Just to be clear, the video you watched of the trash being placed in trash was placed in on what day?
The 24th.
Okay, and you watched it on which date?
The 30th.
Okay. Did you when you watched the video from the 24th, how far did you get, or how long did you watch the video for to determine if the trash had been picked up from that garbage can?
It was determined that particular garbage can was picked up on the 28th.
Okay. How do you know that?
We could see the garbage truck picking up the garbage can, so.
So did you watch the video for that time?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, and do you know what time the trash can came and picked up that video?
I'd have to reference my report for the exact time on the 28th.
Do you have any idea, or would you refresh your recollection, take a look at your report?
It would refresh my recollection,
Okay.
if I could look at that.
If I may have a moment, Your Honor? may just approach the clerk.
Yes.
Sir, I'm going to show you what's been marked as states 38 for ID. I'm going to draw your attention to the second page, last paragraph. Please don't read it out loud. Take a minute and take a look at that, please.
Okay, look, about 4:10 PM is when it got picked up.
It was PM or AM? It just, or does it not say?
It doesn't say.
So do it,
So it does say hours, so maybe 4:10 AM.
okay. Okay, if I can have that back. Are you sure 4:10 AM? or-
Yeah, yeah.
Could I have that marked for ID, please?
It is.
Oh, thank you. And what's the number?
It is 38. Now, in your review of that video, sir, that was Albany and Green? Or, I'm sorry, Albany and Garden?
Albany and Garden.
Yes. Did you watch it to see, or were you aware of any video of anybody else rifling through that garbage can?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to asking this witness to characterize what was being seen in the videos. The jury saw it, they can speak for themselves.
Well, the question is, did you observe anyone else rifling through the trash?
I apologize, Your Honor, I will rephrase. Sir, did you see anybody else go through that garbage can?
Yes.
Okay, at what time, or when, I should say?
It was on the 26th of May, sometime around 6 AM. If I could reference my report, I could give you a more accurate time.
May I approach the clerk, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sir, please 939 for ID. Again, please, I'll draw your attention to page 2. You can, don't read it out loud, just take a look and see if that refreshes your recollection as to the time.
Okay, it does.
And what was the time?
6:51 AM.
Thank you. May I have it? I'm going to draw your attention to states 37. Please take a look. And, play, please, Albany and Garden. $650.25. Sir, just without asking you anything, without saying anything anybody said or anything like that, just yes or no, sir, were you able to find the identity of who that person was?
We were.
Okay. That's all I have at this time. Thank you.
I just would like to just look at the reports for a minute. Do you have one there in front of you? Or no?
No, I don't.
Sir, I just have like a couple of questions. So you had the snippets from these C4 video downloaded onto some kind of drive for you, correct?
Correct.
Was that on a flash drive, a DVD? What was it given to you on?
I believe it was a flash drive.
Did you pick what you wanted to have downloaded?
They had already assembled a footage of this vehicle's travels on Albany Ave. That's what I took.
Oh, so they didn't make you sit there and watch like 24 or 48 hours of video yourself?
Well, no, we were watching the truck, yeah.
And then, when you say they, who's they was watching?
Oh, the analysts at C4 that were assisting.
All right, so we didn't look to see if anyone else came by or anyone else went through or dropped anything off besides that, correct?
Correct.
And I just want to be clear about the garbage truck you mentioned. You saw in one of the videos a garbage truck pick up trash along Albany Avenue and that, at least some of those receptacles, right?
One of them, yeah.
And that was on May, you said 28th?
Correct.
According to the time, right?
According to the time.
Did you actually download that video as well?
Yes.
That's it. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you.
Just one. Sir, with respect to the garbage truck that you saw, did you see that garbage truck stop at what location and pick up trash?
That was Albany and Garden.
Okay, but you didn't see it pick up trash at the other locations?
I didn't.
Thank you.
Did you watch the multiple days from the 24th to 28th to see if any others got picked up?
No.
Thank you.
Nothing further.
Mr. Atmore, you may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, with respect to our next witness, I believe he was told to come for 1. We're ending the morning a little early.
So you expect him for 2 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you are disappointed in that, we're sorry. We'll take our lunch and recess until 2 o'clock and resume with the state's witness at that time. Please do not discuss the case and have a good lunch.
All rise. This honorable Superior Court now stands in recess until 2. Please exit the courtroom.